Dave, Mega
Oh,
Loser. Wait, what's going on here?
somebody's
Mega,
punching me.
who's punching you
me?
in the face? What is happening here? Oh, we might have just lost him. I'm not really sure what's going on here. Cheers.
Oh, you know who's punching? Why, it's none other than almost Wyrat.
Oh,
See, I'm almost Wyrat because I've won 2 in a row, but I ain't done nothing yet.
oh, I see. I see.
Almost
Welcome,
Wyrat can't even wear a mustache right.
welcome back, Rat. Your
Yeah,
hat's on sideways.
it is because I'm not quite there yet.
Not quite.
We'll get into that in a minute.
But you did. You kicked old Mega Loser man to the curb.
Yep, he's gone, never coming back.
Oh
Never,
man,
never coming back.
I Rip was coming. If that defense just would have maybe a pick six or a scoop and score, we were close to having a Rip appearance. I mean, he thought about coming just because he scored 109 points, but he was like, got to win.
Rip sounds like a wuss.
Yeah. Do you know anything about that yet?
We'll switch to this. You know why?
Merry Christmas, Dave.
You know why?
Why?
Because Junior's #1 draft pick gifted me a win.
Oh, that's so
Merry
sweet of him.
Christmas, early December.
Yeah.
Clutching. Junior found a way to clutch a loss from the jaws of victory.
Yeah, that PCL.
So before we get on to any awards, I wanted to let you know that I finally got into your show, and I'm into somewhere in season 3. And
just so everybody, we're talking about Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. Here. And so, whenever you first did the Rip thing, was it last year? I think.
Yeah.
I really didn't understand it. Didn't know what you were. Didn't get it. I mean, I could tell it was some sort of cowboy.
Yeah.
But I didn't know the half of it.
You didn't fully understand the badassery.
I did not understand nothing. And so now I feel like I kind of do. And so now that I'm pretty far in, at least halfway, right? I don't know how many seasons there are.
There'll be 5 seasons.
Okay. So 3.5. I'm pretty well into it. I want to see if we're on kind of the same page.
Okay.
Kind of see where we're at. So I thought we'll both say, the count of 3, what character, because we have to, not because we want to.
Yeah.
If it comes to our head, what character we're most attracted to.
Okay.
All right, you ready? 1,
yeah,
2, 3.
Lainey Wilson.
Casey.
Oh, what? You could have. Is Casey you mean Casey the brother?
Yeah. Oh. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
I mean, you could have picked a girl, but I get it, Dave.
What? There's girls on the show?
Hey.
I guess I gotta pay more attention.
So you got a couple seasons.
That Casey guy.
Yeah, dude. So funny side note. Sunday, Lee texts me and he says, "Hey, are you caught up on Yellowstone?" And I said, "No." I said I watched episode 1. Katie and I did of the it's season 5 part 2. All right. So it's they had part 1 last year. So around, I don't know, November, they came out with it aired after a football game. But now it's not on regular TV and I don't get the Paramount channel anymore. So I had to go back to some of our old ways of getting TV shows, Dave, the Pirate Bay made a return here at the Smith House.
Man, it's been a long time.
So Lee texts me, he's like, "Hey, are you caught up on Yellowstone?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "Okay, never mind then." So then I was like, "Oh, what's happening in Yellowstone?" And so this isn't spoiler or anything, but Katie and I we watched 3 episodes tonight when she got home from work. That's what we spent tonight doing, getting caught up. So we're fully caught up now. And I just texted Lee and I said, when Casey packs a backpack, things are about to get real. And that's all I'll say.
Okay.
Because you got a while to go, but I'll just let you know Casey's upset about something, and when Casey gets upset about something, things get real quick.
Okay, yeah.
So,
but watching
even
on Peacock kind of, it's okay. It just, you see the same freaking commercials and you can't skip forward.
Yeah.
Over and over and over. But
there's a website, and then there's like this app that you can download,
Okay.
and then
I'm fine watching Peacock.
commercial free.
It's all good. So yeah, good show. I understand Rip a lot better, and I understand why you're reluctant to don the Rip when you're not winning.
Yeah,
because that
wouldn't no.
Same reason old full-on Wyrat Earp can't come around until, and I have to at least make the playoffs, which we'll get into of how likely that is. So, yeah, but we got some awards to give out.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, this is a fun week to give out team of the week.
This was a roller coaster week because, I was ready to like give it to Junior because I had a big lead.
Yeah.
And it kept projecting me higher and higher and him lower and lower. And then he just kept making a comeback. And then he had it in the bag with the snowy weather and the brittle McCaffrey. I mean, I was going to, I had no reason to give it to myself though, because you don't get it for winning on a injury.
If you were running full speed and somebody tripped you and your knee hit a snowy frozen ground with like straight onto you think that would hurt?
Yeah.
Dude, it looked like it hurt.
And you're already got plenty of money for the rest of your life and your kids' lives. Like, maybe I'll sit the rest of this one out.
Yeah. Maybe I'll just compose a really long note and put it out on social so everybody can repost it, saying how sorry I am that my season's over.
Then there were a couple matches, and we'll get into these, I'm sure, but that meant a lot to the people. Like, Adam beat Rennie, and that would have flip-flopped. If it would have gone the other way, Rennie would have been the one, with a better chance at playoffs, and Adam would have been kind of in the, the lower end, still right there in it, but not with the little emblem next to his name saying that he's already in,
Yeah.
Because he has, lower points. So that was a big win for Adam. Could have given it to Lee, really thought hard about that because that was a big win for him. It put him, right in the thick of things. Knocked,
season saving for Lee.
Yeah, I mean, Ratty's been on the down, but he still has a decent team. He's still right there. Of course, I wasn't going to give it to Flex because he's won too much. So that leaves, not giving it to Brian.
No.
Even though he got high points, I was ready to. And I really thought I had almost even scribbled it into the, we have a trophy somewhere, I think, right? No, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or a big plaque. I had it already, to give it to the high point. But then old Ed comes along and scores 30 points and not only gets the win by like, 3? I don't know, a few. But takes away the side bet money from Andy. I don't know. I mean, 30, like, I thought 19, 19 was... It's pretty. It held up the whole week, except for Adam's bench, but it held up the whole weekend.
If you would have asked me going into it, give me a score. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think would? I would have said 22 to 24 would be like that'll probably be it. You know what I mean? And so when we were just right there at 19, I was like, well, it's a little lower than I thought, but like. Weather's bad, you know what I mean? Like not as many teams. We're getting closer to. We're in December football, so now teams are even running the ball even more than they were before, And so like I kind of rationalized myself. Well, it just makes sense, you know what I mean? Like this is kind of where it's at. And we had some guys, both Bengals could have if things break one more TD or something like that, and they could have surpassed. What Andy had, but for Jared Jeudy to just annihilate it.
Yeah, and I mean Denver's got a good defense. They've at least they've done all right most of the year. It's not like they're a pushover, but man,
they gave up 500 yards in that game.
Yeah, they did get 2 defensive touchdowns, I think, which But
you can take your foot off the gas a little bit, I guess.
Which Ed was already in. It doesn't matter, and he was playing a team that it really didn't matter. But that's a pretty.
I know we've been teasing about it, and I know that nobody really got to choose much. Although I was I wonder if anybody thought about what wide receiver they were playing or what kicker they were playing based on that.
I doubt it. You play your best. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But sometimes
I gave you a hard time
like that.
I totally admit. No, I probably would have liked it better if I would have won, of course, but you know me, I'd bet $10 to see who could throw the most rocks in a bucket.
Yeah.
So what do I,
Well,
you know,
yeah. But
I would have been in no matter what it was.
For the argument's sake, Adam was upset. He was like, "Well, we didn't really get a," I was like, that if you're out playing golf or you're shooting free throws, like, and you say $10 on this one, you're still doing the same thing you were doing before. You're just incentivizing it with adding a little bit more money onto it. We play this for money. If any of the 12 guys that are in our league, myself included, are doing this for the money, you're like it. The money's just part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's like I
just
could
a
care less.
gauge.
Yeah, I could care less about the $60 or the prize money I get from winning the thing. It's about having fun. It's about the smack talk. It's about just making the football more interesting. So I don't know. I mean,
I wasn't
I thought
super.
that I thought coming down to Monday Night Football, the whole thing, I thought that Travis, his kicker going into overtime and getting more points so that he tied Junior, like I thought all that was intriguing. So, but
Yeah.
that's just me.
I really wasn't, like, when you first announced it several weeks ago, and then we came back to it. I was like, I didn't really have much hope for receivers because I
Yeah.
just didn't have any that were really that strong. But I ended up with 15 with one, and another guy that had 100 yards. If he would have stayed in the game, might have, And I was like, okay, well, maybe kicker.
Yeah.
I had 11 points at halftime,
Yeah.
and that's Detroit, who loves to run up the score, and they only got one more touchdown in the second half. So it's like I thought I had a good chance at that, and then just game flow, and you just never know. But
Yeah.
11 points
So,
in one half, and then nothing.
yeah. Well, that Miller Time Team of the Week goes to Ed. Congratulations,
Yeah,
Ed. Man, what a
it made that
victory.
last game kind of it was. I just you know
And
more
neither
interesting
one
for
of those
sure.
teams needed those wins, but it
No,
solidified Ed as just being
yeah, it wasn't
top
for the
contender.
win. It was and honestly, I might have thought about, even if he had come up short, he still had enough points to, Judy had enough points.
Yeah.
He might have got it just for taking away the
Yeah.
the side bet thing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
good job,
So
Ed.
that was
Do you
fun
think
to
Ed even
watch.
knows that the side bet happened?
Sometimes he'll jump in, like Monday night, like real late, and he'll be like, and usually it's like a comment like, almost had you, you know what I mean? Because it would be like, I thought for sure I was expecting when he passed Andy that we were going to get like some out of nowhere,
Yeah,
message from Ed, but,
yeah.
he may be oblivious, but, somewhere along
Even
the
if he
line,
gets
we'll let
knocked
him know.
out, he'll be surprised then when, even if he gets knocked out in the first round, and I tell him he doesn't owe any money, he'll be
He
like,
doesn't owe any money because he got $50. Yeah.
plus the 10 for making the
So.
playoffs. So, he's good.
Yeah, well, our hillbilly, Harrison Hillbilly of the Week, I got to give it to Rennie, and it's just because he had everything to play for,
Yeah.
and it's not that he lost, because losing to Adam, lots of teams have lost to Adam. It's just putting up the 68, and the going back and forth between Burrow and Mayfield, and it's like sometimes it's dance with the girl you brung, and so I
Hmm.
don't know,
It
what
wouldn't have
kind of.
mattered, but it would have made
No,
his score a little better.
yeah, it would have been more respectable. He would
And it
have
might
felt better about
matter
it.
this week, because points could factor in. So,
Yeah.
you never know. Did you think
So,
about an honorable mention? I know Brennan's been getting beat on, but the fact that he had two kickers that were active, none on bye, and the kicker that was in his bench would have won
well,
the
I
side bet.
when you had mentioned that, well, so I was looking at his team, I think in the midst of like the games the other day, and I was like, why does he have multiple players on IR on his team? And
Because
like
it's a
at this
little late in
point,
the season. Like at this point, if they're not coming back in four
yeah, like
weeks,
just yeah. And then so he's got multiple guys on IR. He's got Daubs who's out, and then he still has room to have multiple kickers and one
yeah,
that could have got him money. So
like
yeah,
unless you have, like, this year, it would be Fairborn both. Like if you have, unless you have one and two, which what do you do?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
there's skill position players, and maybe he's just like, screw it, what's it matter?
yeah.
But
Now
yeah,
this week, I will try. I will attempt to keep Fairbairn on my team while I replace him this week.
Well, you're already in the playoffs, and
Yeah.
and you might want him back. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't fault anybody if you want a kicker and they're on bye and you want to keep them. And get it, it's your team.
But
you can
that's
do whatever
not
you
the
want.
case for that's not the case.
He can have 5 kickers, but the fact that he had 2, both of them could have been played. Neither one of them are even top 5, I don't think.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't, or at least both of them aren't. And then the one he picked would have won him $50. The one he picked to stay on the bench.
We mentioned tough. These. We'll just run through these real quick. Big win for Lee, knocking off Josh. You know, everybody except for Brennan still has a chance to make the playoffs. Am I right with that?
Yeah.
So it's everything's in play now. Some of it is improbable because of how many points you'd have to score.
No, really the only improbable would be for Brian to get knocked out.
Yes.
Okay. Everything else is super probable.
Okay. Just based on matchups.
Matchups,
which we're going to get
points.
to in a second. Yeah. You versus Junior. Junior came up short. Christian McCaffrey obviously had a lot to do with that. Big win for Adam. You know, he had been kind of quiet about it, and then all of a sudden, I think he posted something in the chat, just dropped a little bit of something about.
Once he got the emblem next to his name where he can't be knocked out, because he's only, I think, 3rd lowest. I mean, he's down there in points, so he would have been
but he racked
super
up the
susceptible.
Yep.
Yeah, without the win. And but hey, he got it, so it doesn't matter. But he's had, and I've mentioned it before, and he probably gets, you know, he posted that thing of, you know, we don't look at the point differential for wins. It doesn't matter. A win's a win, blah, blah. But he had a couple really close calls, you know, that he got one more win puts him in a position that he would have been in fight. He would have been there with the rest of us fighting for 7 and 8.
Yeah. Now, Ed gets a win over Andy. Andy's really high on points, so that's helpful for him. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that loss didn't knock Andy out of the playoffs, because that'd have been a tough beat.
Yeah.
You know, but and then Brian, man, no bad beats this week. He got to play.
No,
he got to play Brennan, which is.
I talked about some course correction stuff. He got to play, you know, somebody that struggled, and that person did continue to, you know, 84. It's not horrible, but it's not, you know, he didn't. It's not great either. But Brian came to play 144. You know, no bad beats happening when you score 144 usually.
No, and nobody else was probably watching it in real time the way that I was, but there was a 2-minute period of actual time in which Travis's team went from 70% lose probability to a 90% win probability, because he got the garbage Lamar touchdown at the end of the game, and at the same time his kicker was playing in a game that went into overtime, or like he got 3 field goals, I think, within like, I don't know, like 5 minutes of time. You know what I mean? It was just like, got a field goal, they got the ball back, they kicked a field goal to go into overtime, then they go into overtime, they kick a field goal, and it's like it was like a 17-point swing for him, and it was like it put it so far out for my defense that it, you know, I had a great defensive score, but it wasn't enough. You know what I mean? I needed 20. I needed 22.
20's tough. Yeah, you need somebody else to have gotten you a little closer.
I mean,
there was
you said it in the thing. I mean, CeeDee Lamb's really the only down spot. I mean, Taysom getting hurt, he probably would have had some other opportunities had he not gone down. So, you know, those 2 things were the lowlights, but it's hard to complain about
those momentum switches. Like I was paying more attention, obviously, to mine and Juniors, and it just kept flip flopping. Like I was having it project me way ahead, and then all of a sudden he had both of the Tampa guys that kept getting all the points, and then so he kept inching back, and then all of a sudden I got a Goddard touchdown, and that was like, okay, I'm good, and then nope, not good. Irving got a touchdown, and it kept going back and forth, and those it's like we don't put a lot of stock into before it starts the ESPN projections, because Lord knows they've been wrong for me most of the season. but I don't know. I tend
when
to
you're
I tend to
mid to
believe the
late,
percentages when it's in the middle.
yeah,
You're like, you're like, they're projected to still get past me, and then um, I don't know if the algorithm is a little different once it's live, but it does. I put more stock into it. Not that I don't even know if it's accurate, because I don't.
yeah,
Obviously, it's not always.
yeah. So, well, let's set
What'd
this
you
up.
think of before we leave this? The somehow Andy lost even though he had a quarterback score over 12 points in one play.
Oh my
What'd you think of
goodness,
that? You think
it
that's a
was
loophole that ESPN will kind of think about, and I don't know how you
the
would
the
legislate it
lateral.
out.
Yeah, I don't because they're scoring it the same way as if it was almost like a tipped ball that then they would go and
Because
catch themselves.
if he threw the pass to Cooper and Cook came around, took the lateral and went in, Cook would have got a reception touchdown,
Yeah,
and Josh Allen would have still got the passing. So if you take away that it doesn't matter who it was, it just
yeah,
happened to be the same person. But
yeah,
six and like in our league, like because like whoever posted, I think Junior posted like, oh, that's a 10 point. Well, not in our league, it's a 12 something point. It's
yeah.
whatever the yardage plus six and
Hmm.
six. That's like I don't know that. I mean, I suppose
Well,
it could.
now have you
It's never happened, right?
no, it has.
Okay.
So
No, somebody.
they posted not a lateral. They
Okay.
posted like 5 times where a quarterback has thrown it, an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman or a defensive lineman's got their hand up, the
Okay.
quarterback has caught it and then scored a touchdown with it.
And they would get, I guess that would
Yes.
get credit. Okay.
Yep. Those were so according to ESPN
Yeah.
Fantasy, those were quarterback receiving touchdowns. So you threw it and you
Wow.
received it.
I mean,
But
talk about a
so,
swing.
well, so,
But and
but
then they did post. I think he was the only one that's ever got all three things. Like
only quarterback that's ever done
quarterback.
it.
Okay.
Last time that it happened was with Danian Tomlinson to rush for a touchdown, throw for a touchdown, and receive a touchdown.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
But
but
yeah,
he's the first quarterback ever, which is interesting because we've had some quarterbacks catch some receiving touchdowns. It just means that they hadn't rushed for one probably in that
the
game.
the same game. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you think about
What's
Philly,
yeah, this that's true.
so yeah,
But
so
yeah,
like Carson Wentz has caught a receiving touchdown, right? Like so, but yeah, I mean it was a fun week of football, except for watching the Bengals get another one hung on them. So yeah,
high scoring
see,
affair.
yeah, yeah. I just and and people were commenting back and forth, like the internet's kind of ablaze right now, like how much. I'll put some of this loss on Burrow. I mean, just like
The
you
fumble.
can't turn the ball. There's been a couple times and a few 90%. I mean, he only has 3 interceptions for however many touchdowns and all these losses. So it's not like he's being careless with the football. He does have a couple untimely fumbles that and that in a game where your defense plays that poorly, you have to play perfect. And is that fair? Probably not, but
Trying to do too much, hold on the ball a little longer.
yeah. No, I don't think his offensive line hasn't helped him. But then there's other plays. Like I was listening to Andrew Luck was on Dan Patrick the other day, and he was talking about some of his time with the Colts. Now he's the GM for Stanford football. So he was taking ownership. He was like, because Dan was saying if they would have just given you an offensive line, you would have played a lot longer. And he said he said a lot of that's on me. You know what I mean? He just knew how he played, right? Like that and so I think some of the sacks and some of the danger that Burrow puts himself in is some of it self-inflicted, not all of it. I mean, he on the dropbacks where he's got no time to throw and he gets blindsided, or when his wide receiver, who was it, his running back can't block a guy, like that's on the team. So, but yeah, it's tough. It's tough being a Cincinnati fan in general. So, but
I mean, this is like if you don't beat Dallas with Cooper Rush at quarterback,
yeah,
and they're not very good defense,
yeah,
I don't know what you do.
yeah. They, I mean, so we'll see what happens. But we're going into our last week of the season, so just a few things to kind of set this up. This last year and this year unique because NFL has switched. We've got more weeks now than we've had in the past. This is only the second time where week 14 we still have buys,
I know.
and so it's a unique wrinkle for everyone who's participating because for a lot of us, that are playing, it's an important week. You're trying to make the playoffs or trying to get seeding, trying to kill an evil Sith Lord, like whatever it is that you're trying to do this week, and have access to all your players because we've got a lot of teams on bye. So that's a new wrinkle. But you were talking about, Dave and I've been just kind of texting back and forth today in preparation for this, and we were just kind of laying out what we thought were some of the most important matchups that we have of the week.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited, Dave, to talk about what I guess we'll just call it like the Hillbilly Harrison matchup of the week, right? It's the one that's got the most gravitas. It's the most important one. There's the most on the line for it, and it's a rematch of the Super Bowl of fantasy last year and a rematch of week 3 this year. It's me versus Adam. I can't wait to talk about it. So what you got to dig in there a little bit. What do you see when you look at these two teams?
I hate to burst your bubble, Kevin, but your match doesn't matter at all. It's not the best. It's not the most important match of the week.
What do you mean?
It's actually, pretty pointless.
So you're saying no matter what happens in our matchup, it doesn't affect anything?
Not really. I guess seeding, we can get into that, but
I mean,
do you?
But honestly, there's a 90% chance that no matter what happens, that I still play Adam week 1 of the playoffs.
That I have not done the algorithm on. I'm just saying there's a lot more matches that matter because some of us are still fighting for the playoffs.
Let's talk about some of the ones that really matter, Dave. I asked you to rank them, so let's start at the bottom. We're only going to look at 4. We'll talk about all of them, but to start, we'll look at 4 matchups that matter. And Dave, what's if we're just kind of building up to them, number 4, what's the 4th one?
If I remember right, I think I put the Lee versus Junior on there, didn't I?
I can.
Did I put Lee versus? What did I put?
All right, number 4. No, you got Josh.
Oh, we're starting at 4.
Yeah, starting at 4. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll start at 4 with Josh. Josh plays. The person he plays doesn't matter. This only really matters to him. And I put it at 4 because he's got more points, so he's got a better chance no matter what happens. If he wins, he's got a real good shot at getting the playoffs. But he could still get in, with a loss with some other things happening.
Yeah. So just to set the table, Josh is playing Ed.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter for Ed at all.
Of all weeks, Ed could forget to set a lineup.
Yes.
Wouldn't affect anything at all.
Yeah. But for Josh, it's win or go home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he needs to win. He might need a little bit of help from some other people as well, but he's got to do his job first and foremost, and he's got to beat Ed. And for all of these, we know we just talked about all the buys. People have work to do. There's a lot of people who have holes to fill.
Injuries, some new injuries, some old injuries, some buys. Yeah.
Yep. And then very similar, our third ranked matchup of the week is for Rennie.
Yeah.
And he's playing Sundance. Sundance can only play the spoiler. Doesn't really matter for Brennan. But for Rennie, now or never. He's got to get a win and maybe look for a little help from some other people.
He needs a win, and maybe, depending on how it plays out, might need to score some points, and maybe not, depending on if a couple people, depending on who loses. But obviously, it's better to score more points.
Now, the good news for Rennie is that he is not affected by the buys or the injuries nearly as much as Brennan is. So that, and he's also playing Brennan. So then,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
And
helpful
Brennan
for him
might
as
have
well.
4 kickers that he starts, somehow.
So,
I don't know how
yes,
he's going to do
yes.
it, but
Won't you tell Brennan, send him a side text and tell him there is no side bet this week,
yeah.
so he can drop some of those kickers.
But
He doesn't need to
but
have
those
them
two
all.
for sure. Nothing, they have to win before anything comes into play.
Yep. Yeah.
For them.
And so the next one is we got almost Wyrat versus Bad Beat Brian, Heimtime Industries. And
I feel like it's a tough draw for me because Brian's hot. He's just came off a big win. He's got all his faculties, I think. He doesn't really have any bye week problems that I'm aware of. But hey, I'm on borrowed time here. I'm on house money because I shouldn't be where I'm at based on the way the game flow was last week. It took me 2 120 spots in a row just to get to this point to where I'm hanging on the 7th, 8th. It doesn't matter. They're both about the same spot right now. I could lose 7 just as easily as lose out on the 8th spot, but yeah, so at least I'm in a position where if I win, nobody can take my spot or one of the spots. So, but if I lose, some things could happen.
Rennie or Josh,
a lot of good's got to happen.
Yeah. So,
I would need Josh and Rennie to both lose because if I lose, then I would have to outscore both of them in my loss by enough to pass them by, and I probably can't do that with Josh, but I possibly could do it with Rennie if I score like I did this week and he scores like he did last week.
Yeah. And then that brings us to our kind of our number one, our marquee matchup, and it's between Junior and Lee. And so why do you think this one is kind of like the most important one for between all 4 of them?
Because there's really no path. I mean, there's no path for Lee unless he wins, and there's really no path for Junior unless he wins because of points.
Yeah,
because he's well below me unless something crazy happened and he scores 200 and I score 4 or something. I don't know. I didn't do the math, but he's pretty low. It may not be that big a spread, but it's enough to where he's got to win most likely. So they're going to flip flop. Whoever wins, or not necessarily flip flop, but if Lee wins, he's going to pass up. Because he'll have more points for sure than Junior because he beat him. Plus, he's already has more points.
Yeah.
And if Junior wins, he's got enough wins. He's not going to lose a spot. So, and Lee can't get in if he loses. So they both have to win. That's why I put it as the most important because they both have to win. There's a slight chance that I could win. I could stay in if I don't win. But they have to win. And I haven't really dug in. I feel like they both had some work to do. Yeah, they're both like sitting at 7 and 8 people starting, and so they probably have to pick up some. I think Junior actually needs a quarterback.
Yeah,
he didn't get around to planning for this week, even though Houston's known that they were going to be on bye for weeks and weeks and weeks. So, but at this point, there's probably not a ton of people looking for a quarterback.
Maybe he was looking at what
so he'll probably get his pick.
Maybe he was looking at Stroud and he thought, well, he can't do any worse than what he's done all season long, even on bye.
That's true. He can't go negative.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it probably would have been better if Junior would have thought about this a few weeks ago and pick somebody, even if it's somebody that he ends up dropping. But he didn't, so he'll pick up somebody, and again, he might have the pick of. And there may be nobody else that picks up a quarterback. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not that Brennan needs a quarterback as well, unless he's got one on his bench. I don't know, because Nix is on bye.
Oh, yeah, I didn't look at his.
He had Dak, but Dak's not playing anymore,
yeah.
So I don't know.
Let's see if he needs a quarterback. So, but still, 2 out of. I mean, we've seen all season long that there's been a lot of points scored on free agent quarterbacks. You're right. He needs a quarterback.
Yeah. So, but
there's plenty. There's people that can score 20. For sure. I mean, they're always out there.
Yeah. I've been really impressed with even. I mean, not that you will. They won't repeat it, but every week there's been great running back and wide receiver scores on the waivers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like guys that were available that, over 10, I mean, 10 to 15 point scorers every week, it feels like. And then
Yeah.
you pick that person up and they don't do anything, but that's the nature of it. So, a couple other matchups we'll just hit on. I teased I am playing Adam. We are both locked into the playoffs.
And I don't even know how you could think about like whether you whether you want to win or want to lose, because you don't know what's going to happen around you. Like there's no way to predict, whether you're going to finish, where you're going to,
yeah,
to where you're going to play anyway.
Adam seems to think that the highest likelihood is that we play each other. He had just mentioned that, but he was looking at that like a week ago. So, and it could be that that
I mean,
I
feel like if you beat him, because 4 plays 5, right?
Yeah. And I'm in 4 now, and he's in 5.
I feel like if you win, you would go up. Well, maybe he's thinking because you would go up and he would go down the same number of spots. But I feel like there's a chance that he could drop, with a loss if people have, he'll be at, if he loses, he'll be at 7, and there's 3 teams that could, actually only 2 teams that could end up with 7 wins.
Yeah.
Below him. But Andy could lose. So yeah, it starts getting when you it gets confusing.
We'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah, maybe.
And then we've got Andy versus Travis, and those are 2 teams that are just going to play for high points.
Yeah.
Because is Andy locked into the playoffs?
Yes, and he can't even get. He can't even get to second place. So
yeah.
He's either in 3rd or dropping if you pass him.
Yeah, so basically everybody else that was mentioned in one of these. We got Brian and you and Junior and Josh and Lee and Rennie, Brennan, it doesn't matter. So all of them are kind of captured in those other ones. For everybody else, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's like Travis is our league champion. That can't change. He's already wrapped that up. And like the regular season, right? So he has that all sewn up. And then nobody can catch Ed. He's in 2nd no matter what. And then we've got 3 teams at 7 and 6 that could jostle around a little bit.
So unless I'm looking at it wrong with Brian, like reason I didn't really, if I win, I'm in for sure. Brian would drop down to probably 7 or 8, and he could go. The only way he could go to 9 is if Junior loses, and that would put Lee up to possibly at 9th. But if Josh wins and scores 50 some more points than what Brian scores in a loss, which could happen, right. But he also needs. Yeah, I mean that would be the most. Yeah, because Josh would be ahead of. He'd have the most points, 2nd to Brian, so he'd have to pass Brian, and he'd be in. Man, you almost need a spreadsheet to figure all this out.
We haven't really talked about this, Dave.
I can't have all 4 of mine be right.
You can't have all 4 years, so somebody's already locked in. Is that
no? But because of who plays who, there's no way to.
So somebody's going to get eliminated.
Yeah.
So you know who yours are. I wrote mine down a while ago. I think I remember who they are, but so we didn't share this. So would it be more fun for us to say now who we think was going to make it in, and we'll see if we wait next week and we unveil it and say we were right or wrong.
Let's wait.
Okay, we're going to roll it out one more week. 4 teams are on this paper. Dave says he wasn't right.
I didn't think through the matchups, I guess, or else I thought something different would have happened this week than what happened to where it wouldn't matter this week.
We had half the season left almost when we did this. So like there was a lot could have happened in those weeks.
Yeah.
So
but I could definitely get 3 out of 4.
Yeah. So yeah, we didn't really talk about it. I guess I don't know how. I'm just gonna pull something up and you tell me where am I at? I'm going here. I'm going to go to a so Lee plays Junior, and that's your marquee matchup.
Yeah, because they both have to win, or else it's done for both of them, pretty much.
What do you think the outcome was when they played the first time?
I don't remember.
So
I would say that Lee probably beat him by a lot.
Lee won 93-79.
Okay.
So that,
Because
Lee just came
I
off
realize I say that because Lee was good early.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he fell apart.
The second one, okay, this might surprise you. Do you know what happened the first time you played Brian?
I assume I lost because I lost a lot.
You won 127-117.
Ooh. That was week 3?
Yes.
Wow.
Crazy,
yeah,
huh?
that was probably with Jaden Daniels, who I don't have now.
Yeah.
and he's got Barkley, who people just like part the waters and let him run.
It was. You got a 30 nugget from Jaden that game.
Yeah.
So
Of all things, I never would have thought when I drafted that I would be like, ugh, I got to play Jordan Love, because I really thought I drafted him thinking he would be a locked in 25 point a weeker because he's the way he finished the season last year. But boy, things just, and I'm sure, Junior thought the same thing with Stroud. I did too. I thought he would have a better year.
Now, if you're Rennie, the good news is that you've already beat Brennan once, 107-83.
Okay.
So
you're right where you want to be.
You're right where you want to be. If you're Ratty, good news, bad news. Bad news is you lost to Ed 81-76. Good news is, man, that was a close one.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have gone either way.
Yeah.
And the last time I played Adam, we had a barn burner, a 55-72 victory for Adam. I sure would like to get some sweet, sweet revenge on him for that.
Yeah. Man,
And the last time in week 3 that Travis played Andy, he may have began his high point streak then, or if it wasn't then, it was the week before. 135-109, he beat Andy. So if I'm Andy, I'm really glad that this week doesn't matter.
So, yeah, I mean, that we talked about this early on, like it was a foregone conclusion that whoever ended up in the 8th spot might as well just not even show up. But things have changed a little bit in that not
Travis's reign of high points is lessened.
I mean, it's pretty bad when you look at 117 and you're like,
he's got a chance.
He's come down to earth. Because back in the 130s, I'm like, I don't want to get 8th. I might as well just not even make the playoffs if I get 8th. But
he's also Baltimore's on bye this week, so if you're going to play him, this is the week to play him. But I mean, it's like Travis just gets to rest all of his starters for week 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah, it kind of is like that.
Yeah, and here's the thing: nobody has any control over what's going to happen or who's going to get 8th. It's kind of like you're just trying to get in.
Yeah, and I don't know that. I mean, right now, Ed's found a way to win a lot.
Yeah.
So being in 7th isn't a joy. Well, then, okay, what about being in 6th? Oh, you get to play Andy, most likely, or possibly.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, that sucks.
Jalen Hurts. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe where you and Adam at, that's the sweet spot.
Yeah. So it'll
which you might not stay there. You probably, and you most likely won't. I mean, crazy things happen. So, you might end up going up or down, or I don't know that you'll be at 4 and 5. Maybe you will, or maybe you'll flip flop or something. But
yeah, it'll all end up working itself out on Monday night. And we'll see what happens. So,
but I tell you that when I went to Mega Loser Man several weeks ago, I didn't see a path to where I even would have a chance. So things really, that's where you just never know. You put the best team out there, you hope for good things. Chicago's offense finally came around. I'm sure everybody on their own team that when you you just get those guys that you're like, oh, if they just did this, then I got a better chance. And
Yeah.
so, but now, I'm it's hard to get 120s 3 weeks in a row unless you're Travis.
Yeah. So, well, it's kind of bittersweet
It is.
that we're going into our final week of the regular season, and I'm happy to be locked into the playoffs,
Yeah.
because then it just means that like your season extends for another week. But the truth is, for all of us, within the next couple weeks, like that'll be it, and watching football just changes after that.
I know.
There's games that Katie be like, "Are we watching this game? Can we turn something else on?" I was like, "No, this one matters." Like, what I mean? It's like the game isn't really matter, but like the something, the matchup or something in it matters.
Yeah.
And it's like, in a few weeks, the Bengals will be irrelevant. Fantasy won't matter anymore because it'll all be done.
Well, because it'll be, at least there's 8 teams the first week. And then it goes down to 4, and it's like, and the other 4 are sort of still like, the ones that got knocked out are like, I'll still pay attention a little bit, see if whoever I beat or beat me, see if they win, and because of the way we changed things several years ago, you still got that high point, you can still get high points all the way through. But yeah, you start tailoring off a little bit, and then the last one, it's like there's only 2 teams that can win, and everybody else is like,
and everybody else so bitter, you're just like, whatever.
I'll put a lineup out there, but it's not worth investing a ton of money or a ton of time and energy for $10.
Well, and it seems crazy. It's like our Super Bowl always ends around New Year's Eve. You know what I mean? It'll be around that time period, and it's like, it's just a few weeks away.
I know.
So, well, happy December, everybody.
Shopping. I already got my gift, the gift of injury.
All right.
Sorry, Junior.
Yeah.
Boy,
Well, it's been amazing. It's been a fun ride. I can't believe that we've done this again not every week. Sorry, everybody. We weren't able to be here last week. I was down for the count. I am still drinking water, which doesn't bode well for my week this week. I know that my team gets
it looks like a beer. Does that help?
It does help. Yes. So, yeah, trying to get my strength back, trying to get my voice back. So, but I can't believe we're here going into the last week of the season. Good luck, everyone. I wish everybody could make the playoffs, but then that would be called communism, and we don't live in that kind of a world. So,
like a 12-team college playoff or something crazy like that. That'll never happen.
No, never happens. So, well, may the best team win.
Yeah.
Good luck, everyone. And it's been fun doing this. We can't wait to kind of wrap up the regular season next week and unveil who we thought were going to be out and see if we were right.
You don't remember? So you don't know whether you can get all 4 or not?
I have an idea of who I had in there. I don't believe I'm going to get all 4 right because I have a sneaking suspicion that you're going to make the playoffs. So.
There's a lot of paths for me not to.
Yeah. So, all right, everyone. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week.